flip-flop a toy from one habitat to another. The last toy swap we did with them, they got a toy from some of the cougars. Boy, Aurora loved it. She laid claim on it. Lakota could touch that toy every once in a while, but you guys, it was Aurora's. She walked around with it, carried it around her mouth, took it in and out of the pool. You named it. She played with it until she killed it, and then we had to take it out. So behind the gift shop is destroyed tiger toys. After they destroy those toys so much that we do take them out, we don't want them hurting their mouths on there. They get a new toy in replacement, but man, you should have seen the look she gave those keepers when they took that toy out. She was not happy that it was going bye-bye, but she did get a replacement. And then across the way from them, where the metal building is at, that is home to Bam Bam, our grizzly bear. So he is a late-in-the-day bear. You guys, it doesn't matter the season. He likes to sleep in. He likes to hang out inside and sleep in a little bit. If he is not out by the time we get back for the tour, you can walk down and look in the window. You may get a chance to see him. He is our ham of the refuge. He will try to open coconuts by tapping them on his forehead. They do not open this way because he does not hit himself that hard. He will then stomp on those coconuts and do CPR, I like to say. He also loves to climb his ramp, not very often. And what I mean by that is we have that ramp in there for him to climb up, but he has to be enticed to climb up that ramp, so our keepers will put food up there sometimes for him to climb up it. One time he decided not to climb up the ramp for the apples, so he went behind it, pushed on it, and they rolled off. Work smarter, not harder. He is a lot of fun to watch. He's by far a ham, but he was someone's pet in a barn in Oklahoma. Oh my God. The man had a grizzly bear, a black bear, and 9 tigers all his pets. Oh my. Never really seen daylight until they were rescued. So adults, not kiddos, but adults, I'm very serious when I say always get to know your neighbors. You do not know what is out there. We have rescued from inside houses, backyards, basements, frat houses. A few years ago, we did get a cougar from an apartment out of the Bronx. You just don't know what's out there. Across the way, you may see Bagheera, our black jaguar, just across the sidewalk. He's on top of his wooden platform. That is Bagheera. We also have Spike, our black leopard. Doesn't look like he's out right now. And we also have Selbit, a yellow leopard. You may notice that those habitats have a roof at the top. That tells you one thing. They're climbers and jumpers and leapers. If there is a roof, that is why. If they are diggers like our grizzly bear, their fencing will go down the ground with a concrete barrier. If they are tiger or lion habitat, they will have the open tops. Their bodies are too big to go straight up a really high distance. They need more of a leaping action. And you'll notice those platforms are in the middle of the habitat. So every habitat here depends on the animal. But I always like to tell you guys, if you're ever in Africa and you see the legs of a wildebeest up a tree, it didn't get there on its own. Leopards will drag prey that weighs about 3 times their weight up a tree. So a lot of times our leopards and Bagheera jaguars sit on top of their platforms and watch everyone go by. Bagheera came from a rescue I'll tell you about on the tour. Spike, our black leopard, his mama was pregnant with him when we rescued her from New York, so he's technically from the state of New York. And Selbit, our yellow leopard, is from Colorado. And then we have 2 bobcats that live over here. You guys may have seen them walking around earlier. Bobcats are in the middle of the food chain. So they hide a lot naturally regardless. We give them a bunch of other extra hiding structures in there as well. Their names are Tony and Prince. You guys, there was a man near Fort Smith, Arkansas that found them in the wild, decided to take them out of the wild and put them in tiny dog crates and fed them cat food. In 2019, the Arkansas River historically flooded and he left them. He left them in the crates for the flood waters to take. Had they had a chance of surviving that in the wild, they were never given that ability. Basically, a neighbor called us about the situation. Also, never let the size of a cat fool you. Obviously, a bobcat's drastically smaller than a tiger, but they can bring down a deer if they want. And you guys, if they growl at you, that is something bobcats like to do. A lot of times they will growl at folks. But just keep in mind the size never matters on a cat. They are small, they're most definitely mighty. What we're going to do is we're going to head over to the tram. I'm going to have a speaker on that tram. I'll tell you about the animal we're going to be passing as we get on that tram. And we'll head this direction, and I'm leaving things. Here we go. Oh my goodness.
Good morning. Good. How are you?
I went and said this one you wouldn't see very well, and I was going to move around and step on him. What? Get on the right. All right. We don't go fast, but we still close changes. No roller coaster rides today. It doesn't matter, Shelly. You're good. Wherever you like. Oh. It don't matter. It's up to you. I'll try not to step on your toes. We'll be over here. It does take a few seconds for come on. All right, can I right here, okay? Yes. All right, again, thank you guys for being here. We are a nonprofit. Everything does go back to help us take care of the critters. Also being a true sanctuary. We never force them out, so you may see some, you may not. It does depend on them. We are parked next to one of our habitats here to an African circle. This is home to Mondo. So, you guys, back at the end of January, beginning of February, we were reached out by a farmer in Missouri. He had been seeing a weird looking cat on his property, so he put out a live trap. And it was an African turtle, obviously not native to. She was surviving in the hay bales during that winter time. Luckily, she was in the hay bales, but she did have frostbite on her toe. We had to amputate a part of that. Infections in her toes. She spent about a month and a half in our vet hospital getting better once we got her here. And then we put her in this habitat here. The vet did say she probably would not have survived another few weeks out in the elements where she was because she's native to Africa. She can come out of the building, go over the ramp that you walked under. On the tour I'll tell you more about, but something fun about them is you guys, they will pee about 40 times an hour on average, marking their territory. So think about that for a second. Every server we have was someone's house pet -1, and then obviously we don't know exactly where Mondo came from originally before she ended up on that farmer's property. And people try to have them in their house as pets, so they pee 40 times an hour besides being dangerous, which we're going to talk about too. So we're going to scoot on up here. We'll see if Jake is up. He is another African serval. I will tell you, he is kind of like Bam Bam. He's a late in the day cat. Sometimes he will hang out inside his building, but sometimes he will come out a little later. So we're going to see if he is up here in his usual location. He likes to hang out in his hammock just even to the window of his building. And when he's in there, sometimes you just see his ears. But I don't know that we will see him, but we will go ahead and kind of make a quick stop here. I want to tell you about him in case we see movement. If you notice the window, there's a hammock just even to that. That's where he usually likes to hang out at. There was a man in Oklahoma that had over 300 animals of 81 different species. They were living in horrible health conditions. They were seized late spring of 2021, sent to a true facility in Oklahoma to house them until the court case would be finalized, and that's where we got Jake from. He does crack me up, though. He is one of my favorite ones to watch before dinner. He will make giant circles around his habitat, waiting for the food truck to arrive. Once he sees the food truck come in, he sits and he stares at those keepers. The second they lower that tailgate, woo, it's on. He's going back and forth. He gets very, very excited. But since he's not out, we're going to move on up here to Miss Mari. I do see her up here in her grassy habitat. And as we do, we're passing a few rooms. You can stay overnight with us. You can hear those lions up to 5 miles away. It is another fundraiser to go back and help us. We do have 2 tigers that live next to these rooms. Looks like Khaleesi's going to be hanging back a little further back there. Going to be a little harder to see. We're just going to just a tad bit. You might see her better in just a moment. And I'll tell you about her and Joey at the same time. And there's good run. All right, so before I tell you about Maury, I want to tell you real quick that Joey and Khaleesi are from that Colorado rescue we talked about, 115 animals. They're a favorite among our lodging guests because you can see them from some of the rooms. But they also love our lodging guests too. They like to stalk them, especially we have RV campers. Joey and Khaleesi sometimes like to hang out their swimming pool in the summer and watch those RV campers every move. But since you can't see them very well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you about the beautiful lady over here on the other side. So this is Mari. You guys, she's a very beautiful female lion that came with Chief, a male lion who is now at a retirement area. I will point that out to you later on. If you heard of or saw Tiger King, he is one of the many monsters that view the animals as a $sign and not as the animals that they are. The man who had Mari and Chief and other cats from Indiana was on that show. He had 120 violations against him on animal welfare alone. Cats were full of parasites. Chief, the male lion that she came with, was severely dehydrated and malnourished. When we rescued him, his body was shutting down. The welfare is not there at those fake places, by any means. All tray will breed. A true zoo will breed. A true zoo is accredited through AZA, that stands for the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. They breed to keep the species from going extinct. They have the pure species. So what I mean by that is just get up a little bit further, maybe see her better on that side. We don't have the pure species here. Really, you guys, the tigers you're going to see today are not really just a Bengal or a Siberian. They are a mixed bred like a dog can be a Labradoodle. No conservation value in the backyard, nor in a fake zoo. So when we first rescued Mari and Chief, wanted to put them back with each other. Oh, there's good, Ron. Because they came together. You gonna talk? There she goes. I didn't want the truck to make noise while she was caroling so you could get your videos. But you guys, that's caroling. And so that's their communication. Right there's good, Rod. That's their communication in the wild. You guys, you can hear them up to 5 miles away. They'll communicate, you know, after they've had food, if there's danger in the territory. But also barometric pressure changes that carol out with that as well. So these cats are kind of a living radar for us sometimes too. But that's what you would hear if you stayed overnight with us. But as I was saying, her and Chief came with each other from Indiana, so that's why we had them together. We wanted them to put them back together. Big cats and Turpentine will only live with each other, folks, if they already came with each other. We're not going to introduce a big cat to another that didn't already know each other because you risk fighting, and we're not willing to risk that. Different with the smaller cats, but not so much those bigger cats. But she does love to stalk her keepers very, very much. Sometimes you'll see her crawling across the ground and then take off running. Watching those keepers. In the summer, the river cane grows up behind her habitat, and she'll hide behind there. She thinks that they can't see her when they're at the water spigot. So it is a game that we do like to play with them. We're going to move on down here, though, to see if we see any of the African servals out that live in this habitat. Tell you more fun facts while they're dangerous. We will be going down the hillside as you feel like you're falling off your seats. That will not happen for very much longer. We will be on that flat ground in just a few minutes, so I do apologize for that. Let's see. Oh, and I do see, it looks like Miss Lexi up here by the fence line. There she is. Alright, can everybody see her okay? She moves around. Alright, so that is an African serval. They're the ones that will pee about 40 times an hour on average. They also will jump 10 to 12 feet straight in the air to catch a bird. No problem. When they hunt their fish, they hit it so hard they will knock the fish out. They have a bite force about 2 to 4 times stronger than a house cat. If you want to hear like them, you would have to have ears the size of dinner plates. And last but not least, that little cat that walked inside is a better hunter than a lion and a tiger. They catch about 50% of their prey, you guys. A lion and a tiger catches around 20%. So again, never let the size of that cat fool you. Lexi, who you saw, came from Louisiana. Her owner surrendered her over to us last summer. They unfortunately did have her declawed on all 4 feet, and when a cat is declawed, it is not trimming the nail. It is taking back to that first knuckle. It does cause issues. Also, she was living inside someone's home, had never set foot on grass until she got here, but she is really good at hunting those butterflies. And I don't know if we're going to see anybody else, so we'll stop just real quick, Ron, in case we see movement. Sometimes they like to hang out in the cave or the rocks there. We also have Sammy and Enzo who came from New York. It is illegal to own them. They were confiscated up there. Whistler, my favorite serval, because he looks grumpy, but he also looks like he's smiling at the same time with a pattern on his face. He came from Colorado, not the big Colorado rescue, but the same time frame. A man had him and a couple other servals and let them out and expected them to survive a Colorado winter. Whistler was the only one found. He did have frostbite on his ears, and they unfortunately docked his tail. And last but not least, since they're not out, have you guys ever heard of a Savannah cat? Okay, a Savannah cat will not happen in the wild. It is an African serval bred with a house cat. People will force that together to create a Savannah cat solely to make money. They can end up with health issues. You guys, we have a Savannah cat that lives in here at 5 servals. He's the boss in there, for the most part. Again, don't let the fact that one parent was domesticated fool you. Since they're not out, though, we will move on down those keepers. Just a little bit further up. There's good. She thought about talking. This is Chloe. She came from Colorado as well. You guys, if you have a cat at home, do your cats like to play with toys? Yeah, right? All kinds of toys we give these animals. It's called enrichment to keep them mentally and physically active. It doesn't matter the size of the cat. A cat is a cat. And what I mean by that is my favorite was there was one time the keepers had given her access to the grassy habitat. She came out, she knocked every toy off of the yellow platform, watched it roll down and hit the fence, and then she laid down. It doesn't matter if they are 4 pounds or like 600 pounds. A cat is a cat. They have the same personality. It's just these cats are a lot more large and a lot more dangerous. We're going to move up so second tram can see her as well. And I want to tell you a fun fact about lions and their mane and Lion King. So, do you guys like Disney's Lion King? All right, think about Scar, the dark mane, and Mufasa, the lighter mane. Raise your hand for fun on who you think would have been the king. Raise your hand if you think Scar, the darker mane, would have been the king. Okay, raise your hand if you think Mufasa, the lighter mane. How about raise your hand if you have no idea, and that is okay too. Right, and guys, it would have been Scar. Disney tricked you. The darker the mane, the king of the pride. Here is why. A male lion's mane is based off of testosterone. The higher the level, the darker the mane. This is why Scar was so mad he should have been the king. But I bring it up because if you fully neuter a male lion, he'll lose his mane. And we don't want that to happen. So we do a vasectomy on the male lions. We fix the female cougars because we have cougars in the wild here. All others are males that we fix here at the Refuge. But I also want to bring up Lion King for another reason, because if you saw the newer movie, and there she goes. Oh, every time I think she's going to start, she stops. So Ron, you're going to move a little bit. If you saw the newer version of Lion King, folks, you did help lions in the wild. Disney gave money to lion conservation. When the cartoon was released about 30 years ago, the number of lions living in the wild at that time had gone down. People hunt them for trophy hunting, but they also eat them. They feel like their meat is a delicacy. So we've got to be the voice for those that go through this abuse, but also those in the wild. And as I said earlier with the toys, so the toys are given to keep them mentally and physically active since they cannot be released back out in the wild. When these animals are hand-raised by a human, they're too habituated. Okay? Also, I'm going to give you a real world story with that here in just a little bit, what happened here in Arkansas. But also, you guys, a lot of these places are declawing them, they're decanining them, they're doing all of those things to them. So that on top of being habituated, there are reasons why they cannot be released back out in the wild. So you have to give them things to keep their mind and their body active. And I'll give you some examples of toys a little later on. We're going to be brought up here though to see Robbie. He is moving around. He's a very handsome white tiger who's decided not to come out of his doorway just yet. Alright, so imagine that tiger up there weighing about 100 pounds more. Folks, when we rescued him, he weighed around 700 pounds at 4 years old. He is not supposed to weigh that much at that age. The man in Oklahoma had him and a total of 6 tigers, all total, including Robbie. He knew they had to eat. He just didn't know how to properly feed them. So he did feed them roadkill, first off, but he also overfed Robbie them. So first off, roadkill, not the best thing. They're not supposed to eat that with all those diseases, but he overfed him. And overweight and underweight are just as unhealthy. So he did have to go on a diet. He did wonderful on the diet, and the hillsides made him work it off, for sure. But imagine being in your home, and you look out your window, and your neighbor has a lion or a tiger in their backyard as a pet. Folks, it was not federally against the law until December of 2022. Prior to that, it was state by state and county by county. The Big Cat Public Safety Act passed, so now moving forward, it is federally against the law for people to have them as pets and cup petting, which we're about to cover. But if they had them, their grandfather did. So still get to know those neighbors, you guys. It's a very scary reality of how easy it was for people to have these animals. And when I tell you a real world story here in Arkansas, there was a man who had a tiger in 2005. He no longer wanted her. He drove her to the Buffalo National River and he led her out in the woods where people were hiking and camping. A tiger. She smelled her way back to him over 60 miles away to the food. Again, it doesn't matter if they're hand raised, they are going to attack. But when they're hand raised, they don't know how to fully survive because their mom teaches them how to be that animal, like most. Show it back to the food. He then brought her here, told us what he did. We had a team at that time get the law to change in Arkansas at that time. But you guys, it's very scary. We have a saying here, it's predators, not pets. It's 100% what they are. Folks, we love these animals with our whole heart. We give them birthday parties, they get Christmas presents, they get Valentine's presents, but we shouldn't know any of them. They should have been a wild-born animal. It is not fair to them to start life with abuse in any way. We're going to scoot on up here to see if Savannah's out. She's another beautiful female lion. And I will tell you that her favorite toy, she's kind of up top of the night house. So Ron, if you just want to kind of slowly go by, they can kind of see her up there. She loves sticks. A stick is her favorite toy. So sometimes you'll see her napping with a pile of sticks that our keepers will give her. You also will see them putting sticks inside her toys. She loves them. She did take a little bit when we first rescued her to enjoy her habitat here. They all adjust at different timing. They have to worry if they're going to go through what they had just went through. She loves her habitat now. She loves watching Robbie. I like to say she's a little smitten by him. Sometimes she'll just stare at him. And you may notice the fencing around trees at Turpentine. We do not want them to scratch those live standing trees that could fall. So we will put fencing around those trees. We provide tree logs and tree stumps for get everybody up here so both trams can kind of see him. And we'll move up to Miss Nana. Alright, there's Brian. That's very good. Right now with Bosco, then we'll be up to Mama. You guys, Bosco and Mama are from Colorado as well. Here's what I tell you, this is my soapbox for your whole visit at one spot. Imagine having about a month-old infant. You're going to, let's say, a Target or any other store. You pass that infant around everybody you see all day long until they're about 3 months old. You are not going to do that. But that is a life for these animals in the fake places. They will take those babies from their mom the moment she has them. She feels they've passed, she rebreeds, then the public is allowed to interact with them. They're not fed right on purpose, so they'll stay smaller and longer to make more money off of them. Better. You guys, since they're not fed right, their bones are not developing right, they're very weak and they can break in people's hands as they're being passed around. 3 of their cubs that we rescued from Colorado could not walk because of this. Their back legs showed fractures in them. They're able to run and play now, but they should have never gone through that for someone's helping. Once they reach 3 months, you're good there, Rob. Once they reach 3 months, this is where they are sold to the pets in the entertainment industry, hunting ranches, kept for breeding such as they were in Colorado, hey mama, are sold for their parts. They're lucky if they live 100 days. So my soapbox is to always research a place before you go. No true sanctuary, no true zoo today would allow you to interact with the big predators, the fake ones would. Yes, a long time ago, real and fake places both allowed interaction. Real places are no stress level, they no longer did it. A fake one would continue. But the Big Cat Public Safety Act passing now makes that against the law as well. So when you're researching a place, and if they say, come pet this baby tiger, you can report them. They're breaking a federal law. As I said, we love them, but we shouldn't know them. You guys, this is not how these 2 cats were when we first rescued them. They were terrified of people. They had every right. They had been through a lot of horrible situations. But look at them now. This is why we're here. We're here to provide their forever home. You're here helping just by visiting, but you're also here discovering what's right and wrong places that have animals, and that helps them for the future and around the world. So we can't thank you enough. We're going to move up one more time so Tram 2 can see Mama a little closer. And I will tell you that these 2 are together all the time except for feeding time. Mr. Bosco back there with the stripes, he is a little bit aggressive, so they are separated out while they eat and then they're back together. Also, he has a dinner bell. I like to say he has a blue barrel in his night house. He will beat it up before the dinner truck arrives. He will stomp on it, yell at it, throw it around. So if you want to see what he does to his barrels, take a look at the one behind the gift shop or the one we're going to pass in a minute. They look like they're opened by a can opener. His name is Bosco. But also, you guys, these Ozark hillsides can get harder on the animal as they get older. So we do have a retirement area. As we move to our next habitat, you're going to see some fencing down below. That is Rescue Ridge. It's completely flat ground way down there. We have about 20 animals that live at Rescue Ridge. We're home to 9 bears at Turpentine. Most of our bears live back down there. We also have a spotted hyena name is Rambo. He lives down there. He was a pet in South Arkansas. A few years back, his owner passed. Family reached out to us. He had a pretty big area, but a hind is a pedestal. Just as terrifying. There's good for a second run. And as we're stopped here with the Golden Glacier, I will tell you the only way to go to Rescue Ridge is a behind-the-scenes specialty tour. I can give you more information about that after hours if you're interested. We went ahead and moved on up here because you have him down with a lion and Glacier, the tiger. So you won't see a lion and a tiger together in the wild at all. They're not going to overlap with each other, guys. They're not going to come together naturally. As I said at the beginning, it's forced by people. So people will force it, lion and tiger, to create hybrids. It gets very confusing because there are ligers and tie-ligers and you name it. Easiest way to remember is the dad has the first letters of the name in the big cat hybrids. Dad tiger, mom lion, tigon. Liger, dad lion, mom tiger. It's more confusing. Males are sterile. Females can have babies about maybe 50% of the time. They will take a dad tiger, bring him to a female liger to make a tie liger, like Lakota you saw at the beginning of the tour, the orange cat. All for money. They can end up with health issues that typically don't live as long either. So needless to say, Glacier had to have surgery before he and Ngala could be together. As we move up for the second tram to see them a little better, I will tell you she is my favorite female lion because if you were to see her face, she has a resting, grumpy look at all times. And folks, the grumpy cats are my personal favorite, and then she got that grumpy. Very windy day, he got some folks on the tram, they couldn't really move back, felt a little bad about that. But seeing the personality differences is also fun. Tigers love water. Lions do not. So when he is in the swimming pool, she is nowhere near that pool. But she'll come out and play in the snow, which is not a typical lion thing. And also, you guys, last thing with them, this is the first time they ever set foot on grass in their life. They were living on concrete and rock, maybe a few weeks. They were not trying to make a change for them at all in Indiana. So seeing them find their favorite spot, even if it was right there by the fence line in the whole habitat, that's their choice. That's what it's about. We're going to move on around the corner, but as we do, you may have noticed the building on the opposite side. That is our vet hospital. We have it on property. We do not have to transport the animals anywhere, which is wonderful. Prior to that being built, we had to drive about an hour away with them. Everything happens for a reason. That was completed less than a month before the Colorado rescue took place. It all fell into place at the right timing. And we have a vet on staff. She started as an animal care intern, who became a staff member, who left for vet school, who then came back. So she made a full circle. And we're going to come around the corner up here. You're going to see Chuck and Athena on your right-hand side. And we'll see if we see Frankie or Stevie on your left. So Ron, you can go ahead and go toward the end of their habitat to see them better. Looks like Frankie's moving around in his night house area. Stevie's napping in the doorway. So we're going to come on up here to see these two. And I'll tell you about the other guys. Oh, she's watching him. She's going to get him. All right, there's good, Ron. So, these are siblings. Chuck is the one standing up. Hi, buddy. Athena just sat down. Their sister Abigail is here with us as well, but she is already in a retirement area. Folks, there is a fake zoo in Branson, Missouri that told a 15, almost 16-year-old volunteer that he could go attend that place and those cats when they lived there. He went in, he tripped, he fell, and they attacked him. He is alive, but he is paralyzed. Had he lost his life, you would not see them right now. They would have lost theirs too. It is okay to always be nosy and call a place and ask them questions. Do your animals have vet care? Do you pet them? Can they get out of the view of the public if they want? No, force them out. Fake ones do. We have True Sanctuary had well over 50, around 60 big cats. Some of them escaped and lost their lives, and he wanted to know how to kill the rest. We obviously didn't want that to happen. So we built a second night house to every grassy habitat we have. So he is in a night house area down there. We used to have one night house to one grassy habitat, but we put a fence wall up to make two to get them out of that situation. So it enabled us to rotate if we had to. Frankie came from the man in Oklahoma that had the 6 tigers. Try to carol like those lions, sometimes tough like a tiger, most often carol. They get traits of both parents. You guys, if you know anyone that works through Tyson Foods, thank them. We always are. Tyson gives us over 300,000 pounds of meat a year free to feed the cats. They're headquartered here in Northwest Arkansas. They help us tremendously. They give us bone and boneless, but also get help from local cattle farmers. If a cow has passed naturally in a short time, we'll feed that out as well. But you guys, on the opposite side of the road, if you look this way, you're going to have about a 600-pound tiger and brother as well. This is home. We do have Montana and we have Poncho in these next two habitats. They're from the Colorado Rescue. Do you like popsicles? Because the cats do. Not ours, and we don't want theirs. We will give them a meat sickle, but we also give them a blood sickle. So we will get those cows donated, as I said. We'll feed the meat and freeze the blood. So if you ever see a cow with face, please do not be worried. They've had their treats, but they love it. And just one last quick stop here real quick. I want to give you some more examples of toys. You guys, Christmas trees, pumpkins, watermelons, kitchen spices. It's like a cabinet for them. Perfume cologne, we sprayed it and they mark their territory. Those of you with a cat at home, do your cats like cardboard boxes? Yeah, it doesn't matter again the size. Cat is a cat, right? Well, Karma, the light girl on the other side, she tried to sit in a box the size of a shoebox one time. She got in it, she planned it, but man, in her head, she was in that box. As we move on up here to see if we see his brother, we also have a bubble machine. We'll let bubbles fly around. Kids bubble bath in their swimming pool. They will push smaller toys around, make bubbles in there. Anything and everything to get them to use the senses. And I don't think we're going to see Poncho right now. Looks like he might be napping up top. We're going to come up here to see if we see Tigger and Floyd. Looks like Tigger's going to be at the end of his habitat. He typically makes his way back toward us, so we're going to stop where he wants to go. You guys, as you see him coming closer to you, he's not going to look like a normal tiger. That's because he's short with legs. So they are demolishing jungles to plant oil palm forests about the size of New Zealand. That's a lot of habitat loss for a lot of animals. So you can Google the palm oil app to see if they're using it or not. Small parts make a big part. Last item, we're going to move on. I'll tell you some fun. There are only about 4,000 tigers remaining in the wild, you guys. But attack and use those skills at all force, and that's what we want them to do. We're going to move on up, though. I do see Miles moving around.